So we need to work on a cellular detoxification program is a big piece. So we do that through CoQ10, acetyl-L-carnitine, glutathione, alpha-lipoic acid. These are all things that get that cellular detox going, so we're able to eliminate all that gunk that has been lodged into there.
You're watching the Dr. Jake podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I am Teresa. I am a mom. I'm a health nut. I'm a wife to a cancer fighter. And I'm here today with Dr. Jake to talk about how to safely detox, which I'm really excited about because I see detox stuff all over the place. Everyone's claiming, oh, this is going to be a detox. This is be a detox. And a lot of times it's from people who are not really doctors. Is it safe? Is it not? We're going to hear from Dr. Jake today on all of that. Dr. Jake?
It's going to be a great topic because, I have a lot of my patients come into my office asking about detoxification. I think detox is really great. We need to do detoxification to keep ourselves healthy, but sometimes they're not doing it right or they're not really doing the right things that will help with detoxification. So it's going to be fun to talk today about this.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, I do want to remind our audience that this is just a podcast, right, Dr. Jake?
So this is just a podcast. I'm going to be talking about several herbs, nutrients, and other modalities to help with detoxification, but this is going to be not individualistic. This is very broad. I'm not going to be giving specific dosage of things like that. So if you really want that and really want to know how to detox appropriately and get a specific diagnosis of how to diagnose for you, you need to set up an appointment with me or one of my great doctors by visiting our website, integrativemedica.com, finding our phone number there, and calling my receptionist to get things set up.
Wonderful. All right, let's dive into it. First and foremost, we hear a lot about detoxing, but why? Like, why should we be detoxing? What's the purpose of it? How often should we be doing it? Can you please share on that?
So we are always accumulating toxins in our body. So we're going to have air quality. Doesn't matter where you live, except if you live up in the mountains, up in the Alps or whatever, or if you're here in Utah and you go up in the mountains, maybe you could get fresh air, but really most of us don't live that way. So we live in areas that have poor air quality. We also have the water that we're drinking in, except if we're using a great filter, we're always getting toxins that way. We're eating food, even though you're maybe eating organic, you're still going to get certain toxins in that way. So we're getting toxins upon toxins and toxins. So these certain toxins or foreign chemicals that get in our body bog down how our body works. It decreases our cellular function. When I say that, that makes our cells not work, which means your brain doesn't work, your heart doesn't work, your muscles don't work, your endocrine organs don't work, like your thyroid and your adrenal glands. So it bogs down everything. And then your immune system starts to notice these little foreign molecules too, and it gets outraged and starts making these inflammatory cytokines, which then bogs down our metabolism, makes you hurt, makes you ache, etc. So to really have a good, healthy diet, lifestyle, you need to make sure that you are getting some type of detoxification. Besides just making sure you're trying to stay clean, we need to be working on detoxing in some way also.
So what I'm hearing from you is that there's things that we can do in our lifestyle to kind of prevent or lessen the amount of toxins that we're actually putting into our bodies. And that's just more of like a maintenance. But then there are things that we need to actively be doing to help our bodies actually push the toxins that we're still going to get, even with efforts to clean up our lifestyle.
Yep, for sure.
So let me ask you this. Is detoxing something that one should do every day? Or is this something that like you do once a year? What would be like a schedule that one would really need to follow in order to make sure that they're keeping their body free of toxins as much as possible?
So there's definitely some things that we need to do on a daily basis. First of all, we need to make sure that our detox organs are working appropriately. Like, let's say you're constipated. If you're constipated and you're not pooping every day or maybe one or twice a day, that means you're not eliminating your toxins very well and it's sitting in your colon and then that's getting absorbed in your body and causing problems. So you want to make sure that you're at least having a bowel movement once a day. We want to make sure that we are urinating enough and get enough water in us. We want to be peeing at least 5 times a day. If you're not doing that 5 times a day, you're probably not getting enough water in, and we're not able to eliminate those toxins throughout us. We want to make sure that we are breathing appropriately. Sometimes I see in my patients, and I've been seeing this a lot recently, is the carbon dioxide is elevated, telling me that they are probably not doing deep breathing and they're doing very shallow breathing. So they're not getting as much, they're not eliminating that carbon dioxide very well out of the body, too. And lungs is one of our major areas to eliminate toxins. We also want to make sure that our livers are detoxing really well, too. And that's something I like to do daily. And we do that through usually making sure you're eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables, greens, things like that, like dandelion greens and things like that to help increase detoxification in the liver. These are all the things that you could do kind of as a daily maintenance to make sure you are being healthy by eating foods that are going to support your liver, like artichokes, dandelion greens, and other greens. And then making sure that you are peeing, you are pooping, and you're breathing appropriately. If we're making sure we're doing that, that's great. But probably for majority of my population, we need to maybe do a little bit more, at least for myself. And what I recommend to my patients that do want to be optimized in their health, or they do are dealing with a lot of chronic illness, is we need to take some herbs or nutrients to help support our liver and colon and liver function to help us eliminate the best we can.
Now, I definitely want to dig into what those supplements are and so forth. I have some friends who are really into detoxing. It's kind of their big thing. I think
Mhm.
they sell some detox products and so forth, so that's part of it. But it seems like they're often doing a detox. Like, hey, I'm going to do a 1 week detox. Come and
Mhm.
join me. And I see it happen like once a month. Sometimes they're doing one of these detoxes, or once a quarter doing these detoxes. We're talking like an in-depth. They're not doing it something like every single day. It's like obviously they have a lifestyle that is probably trying to be healthy, but then they actually like really get into it like with like a protocol of I'm going to do this for X amount of days. Is that just MLM kind of marketing, or is that actually is there something to that?
There could be something to that. I mean, I don't think it's horrible to do a good cleanse once a month or something. I mean, a really strong, hardcore cleanse. I don't know what type of cleanse you're specifically talking about. Can be a little hard and stressful on the body to do every week. That's probably going to really stress the body out. And I like to talk a lot about the stress. Is we do have physical and we have mental stress. So if you're doing detox, really hardcore detox all the time, you're putting that physical stress on your body and you're depleting your body, and then it's going to be more difficult to detox in the future. So I wouldn't be too crazy about it. And I don't know if these are just certain supplements that help support liver function, colon function, and that type of thing, and that possibly could be good. But I know I do see some detox regimens that are a little too out there, a little too aggressive for doing weekly. Now you could do this maybe seasonally. That probably could be a pretty good idea, but don't do it too much.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, let's start. You were talking about four different organs that maybe it was five different organs that we really need to keep healthy, right? And they're big important organs in helping our bodies detoxify. Let's start from the top, and I'll just ask questions as they come. What this organ does, and how we can support it in a detox.
So let's talk about the 5 organs that we do have to detox. We talked about most of these, but I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
So we have it here. So we have the liver, we have the colon, we have the kidneys, we have the lungs, and then we have the skin. These are what are called our emunctories. We need to make sure all these areas are able to detox very well. If any of these areas aren't working appropriately, we're going to bog down our system and we're not going to be able to eliminate these toxins, and then we could get chronically ill. So let's dive into what we can do first to help the liver. So some of the herbs that I like to help support the liver is burdock root. One of my favorite ones. It's a very gentle herb and it's great on helping clean out the liver, cleaning out the colon, and I really love it because it's great on cleaning out the skin too. So
Hmm.
those people, like people that have skin disorders or they have skin stuff like eczema, psoriasis,
Right.
or other skin disorders, this is related to poor detoxification. So there's too much gunk going in the body, and then you're going to present. The first thing you're going to present with is the skin rash. And then if you don't take care of it, it's going to go deeper and cause further problems, maybe to our liver, maybe to our kidneys, maybe to other cellular functions aren't going to start working right. So skin is kind of this first line. Okay, we're not detoxing very well. This is getting bogged up. Let's work on healing this up. So burdock can help with 3 of those detoxification organs. I like Rumix crispus. It's a little bit focus on liver and skin too. I really like that one for that specifically.
Is that one?
Dandelion root, my favorite one for that is it's really great for the liver detoxification. We have turmeric, which does pretty much everything in the body when we look at the research, but it's really great for the colon, the kidneys, the liver, the lungs, the skin, all that. So why we talk about so much about turmeric and why it's probably the most popular supplement on the planet is there's thousands of research articles on it, and it
Mm.
has so many different mechanisms of action that it has. So it's really great. I love that. It's probably one of my favorite herbs that we have to help with just general wellness there. So that's regarding the liver. Let's dive
Before
into
we move on to the other
yeah.
one, I want to make
Mhm.
sure it's for our audience because they may be taking notes and so forth. We've got burdock,
Ru-
dandelion root, and turmeric. There was one more that you mentioned. What was that again?
Rumix crispus.
Rumix crispus. Okay, and we're
Yeah,
going to have that into the description box for those of you who are watching this on YouTube with them written out and links to places where you can go and try them out. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Jake. Now, one thing that I want to make sure that, and maybe some people need to know this, maybe some people don't. I'm a health geek. I like to know why, okay? We've got all these different organs. We've got colon, kidneys, lungs, skin, liver, and they're all doing this element of detoxifying. And it makes sense to me in many ways, like what the purpose of it is. Like colon, obviously, it's food that you're ingesting, and it helps digest, get rid of the toxins that we're putting into our digestive system. Skin, right? It's through our sweat and so forth. Lungs, we're breathing in, we're breathing out. What's the liver? What's the purpose of the liver, and what exactly is it detoxing?
really, our liver is probably, I would say, maybe our primary detoxification organ.
Okay.
It's the main one that's going to help eliminate the gunk that we bring in. Actually, the liver is probably my favorite organ on the planet because it does so many different things. It's how we detox. It's how we
Now,
digest our
when
food.
a liver is
Yeah.
detoxifying, where does it send the toxins out? Does it send out through your skin? Does it send it out through your colon? Like
Yeah,
where?
so the liver is going to send it. There's going to go through the liver several different processes there. Then the gunk's going to go into the gallbladder, and then it's going to squeeze the gallbladder, and that's going to go into your colon, and then your colon's going to be eliminating that. So let's say your colon's not working very well, you're not going to be eliminating those organs, and they just are eliminating that toxin, and they're just going to recirculate. Let's say you're not having a bowel movement every day, you're going to have it sitting there and then it's going to reabsorb and then your liver is going to have to detoxify again. And it's just a vicious cycle. So you
So
want to
there's
make
no
sure it's
point.
able to get it.
There's no point in doing a liver detox if you're not doing a colon detox as well and making sure your colon's working together. Otherwise, it's just going to get
Definitely.
stuck somewhere else.
You're correct. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. All right. So moving on, we've got the liver down, and now we've got colon, kidneys, lungs, and skin.
So first thing I like to start with is the easy one is you need to make sure you're getting enough fiber in. And really you're just going to do that well with getting enough fruits and vegetables in your diet and getting a good whole grains into your diet too, especially soluble fiber. Those are going to be the best things to help your colon work appropriately to get it out of there. Sometimes we need some extra support to help with that, and I'll talk about those in just a sec. But when we do get fiber, let's say you're pounding the fiber, you're eating tons of fruits and vegetables and all that, and you're not drinking enough water.
Mm.
You are going to bog up and you're going to make yourself more constipated. So when you do eat fiber, you need to make sure you're getting plenty of water in there so it's able to get out of your body too. So here's the interesting thing about fibers. Let's say you have diarrhea. If you take fiber, it can help with diarrhea, but if you drink tons of water with it, it's going to make your diarrhea worse. So, and if you want to help with constipation, you need to make sure you drink tons of water. So it's just a fine balance there. But we're talking about detoxification. We want to make sure we're eliminating. So you want to make sure you get enough water in with your fiber. Activated charcoal can be something that if you're doing some specific detoxification, you know you have a lot of gunk in you, like let's say you have heavy metals, you know you've got certain pesticides, herbicides, or other solvents that you're trying to get out of your body. Activated charcoal could be something that can bind up all those toxins. Fiber can do that too. Sometimes you want to do a supplemental like psyllium husk. to help bind up that, and then activated charcoal can do that. If we are using activated charcoal, make sure you don't take that with any food, and make sure you don't take that with any supplements, because guess what? We're talking about it binding stuff up. It's going to bind up all those nutrients too, so you're not going to be able to absorb them. So I like people taking activated charcoal at nighttime away from any food or supplement, and that's going to help it work really well, and it's going to be cleaning out all that gunk while you're sleeping. If you really need some help and you're really constipated and not able to get out of there, we could use some aloe vera leaf and we could use senna. Those are some really good herbs that can help get the colon working and help eliminate there. Some nutrients that we could be using is magnesium can be really great in that regard too, to help get that gunk moving out of the body if you are really bogged up. Now, let's dive into the kidneys. So, kidneys, first off, we need to make sure we're drinking plenty of water, because if we're not drinking plenty of water, that's going to be a big problem. We talked about dandelion root, good for the liver, dandelion leaf, really good for the kidneys. So, it's going to be a great diuretic to help eliminate some of those toxins in our body and help get that fluid moving through our kidneys. Nutrient I like for specifically for the kidneys to help with detoxification is alpha lipoic acid, glutathione, and benfotiamine. These are all great things to help the cellular functions inside the kidneys to help work more readily. We're going to be talking about some cellular detox in a second. Some of these things are included in that area too.
So you
So
said
that's
alpha
regarding the
lipoic
kidneys.
acid, glutathione, and what was the third one?
Benfotiamine. It's like benfotiamine, B1, but benfo before it, BNFO.
Thiamine.
And
Interesting.
that's great for blood sugar regulation too.
Now with kidneys, that's all excreted through your urine, correct? Correct.
Yes.
Is it a different purpose than the liver as far as like what it detoxes?
Yeah, so it's going to detox things in a different way than the liver, even though they work synergistically together. Like you could have certain things going on with your liver, and that's going to pick up in your kidneys, and we could pick up certain problems with your body based on that. But yeah, you need all the organs working right to be able to eliminate, because the kidneys are going to eliminate urea and things like that, not like the liver is going to be eliminating. So it's going to be eliminating different toxins throughout the body.
Now, for somebody doesn't, who's got kidneys that are not working right, they're not detoxifying right, they're not doing anything to help support their kidneys and so forth. Are there diseases and so forth that can develop when one of those organs is not detoxifying properly?
So if you're Yes, so if you're not detoxifying properly, it's going to affect all the organs that aren't working well, especially the liver and the kidneys are the big ones that are going to be damaged from environmental toxins or toxins that you're taking in your body when they're not working well. Let's say you do have kidney trauma. Let's say your kidneys are having some problems, maybe from diabetes or maybe from
Mhm.
certain medication you were taking that destroyed the kidneys. So yeah, it's not going to be able to eliminate the toxins as well, and then that could potentially lead to some liver issues. Then it's going to lead to some cellular function issues. It's going to lead to inflammation throughout the entire body, blood vessels, brain health. All these things are going to be affected in the long term. But then, so yes, we need to make sure we get these detox organs working very well, because they eventually will lead to chronic illness in all over the body. So some of these things I talked about with the kidneys that say they get damaged, like the alpha lipoic acid, glutathione, benfotiamine, these are things that help heal the kidneys and help detoxify the kidneys. Things that I talked about for the liver help heal the kidney and help detoxify the kidney. I mean, and the liver. Liver, also some things I really like that is specifically if we're talking about healing the liver is milk thistle. That's probably our best herb that we have to actually heal and regenerate the liver. There's nothing better than that.
This is fascinating. Okay, so one thing that I noticed, you were talking about activated charcoal earlier, and I'd actually discovered activated charcoal back in my late 20s when I used to drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol anymore. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't like it anymore. But back in those days, I would drink alcohol and, I wouldn't feel good the next day. And I discovered activated charcoal and it seemed to make a huge difference. I'm wondering, for those people who do drink alcohol, like, does activated charcoal bind to the alcohol toxins? And that's why it seemed to make a difference when it came to how I felt when I
If
did
you
drink?
Yeah, so if you're taking it shortly after, it does help bind up some of that alcohol, and you don't get as high of an alcohol concentration in your body. So that's how that's working there.
Fascinating.
Just like if you drink a lot of food, if you eat food with alcohol, that's going to help too, because that's going to help bind up some of that alcohol. So activated charcoal works in that same way.
All right. Well, let's move on here. We've got some great tips so far. We've got, the how to detox the liver with certain supplements and so forth that we need for that. You talked about the importance of keeping our colon detoxifying, making sure we have enough fiber, and you've mentioned some supplements that we could use to really keep everything moving there. And then now we've talked about the kidneys. We've got two more areas, our lungs and our skin. I know these work a little bit differently, but I would love your thoughts on how we can get those organs detoxifying properly.
Herbally, we talked about a few. My favorite are Burdock or Murumix crispus to help detoxify the skin. And then my favorite way of all to eliminate toxins through the skin is sweating.
Mm.
Nothing better than getting a good sweat going. You could do that through any type of exercise, but let's say you're exercising and you're not sweating very well. That means you're not detoxing very well through your skin. So sometimes you need to do some sauna and maybe even infrared
Now,
that
I'm
really
not much of a
increases that.
so like I'm not much of a sweater. There's some people who just sweat easily. Like
Yep.
I'll exercise and all is I'm doing
Uh-huh.
right now. I'm messing with the Oculus, and there's some really fun exercises
hmm
in there. They're helping me out
hmm
because it's cold right now, and I don't want to run outside. So I've been doing that. But like one of the coaches in the Oculus that are training you will say, "I don't know about you, but I'm sweating so bad right now, and I'm working my butt off, but I'm not really
Yeah.
sweating. Like it takes a while for that to happen. Is that a
Yep.
sign that I'm dehydrated, or can you be well hydrated and still not be much of a sweater?"
So it could be potentially a sign that you're dehydrated, and maybe you're drinking plenty of water, but you're not getting enough electrolytes. So that could be a piece there. But there's some people, yeah, they don't sweat very well, and typically I say there's something going on with your body that's preventing you to be able to circulate very well. The circulation isn't getting, you're not getting good blood flow to your skin, so you're not able to eliminate that sweat very well throughout your skin. So usually when I say if you're not sweating very well, there's something going on that we need to find out and figure out how you're going to sweat. Sometimes you need to train your body to start sweating again. Once you start getting a good sweat going, it's going to be much easier to be able to get that sweat going in the future. So some people are going to be cold, some people are going to be hot. I know if you've had kids, you have kids that are hot, you have kids that are cold.
Yeah,
That's just genetics.
yeah.
And I believe those colder individuals are going to have a more difficulty sweating than the warmer individuals. That's for sure. But there might be something causing them to be colder. Maybe there's something going on with their thyroid. Maybe their adrenal glands. Maybe they don't get as much blood flow and circulation and pumping that's going throughout the body as well. So there's a lot of potential things to look at in that regard. But yeah, so if people aren't sweating very well, that's a little baby indicator for me. Okay, there's something else going on that we need to be working on to help with that sweat. But sometimes people haven't even learned to really sweat very well. And over time, when we start doing, like, let's say we start doing infrared saunas that really get that going, it's much easier to sweat when you're doing certain physical activities. I've noticed that with a lot of my patients also.
Well, and I have to say, we have an infrared sauna. My husband, as I've mentioned before, my husband's a cancer fighter. And one of the things that we've learned about him and his journey, his health journey, is that he has what's called a MUFR mutation. And one of the effects of MUFR mutations is a
hmm
difficulty detoxifying.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to just like really help his body
hmm
detoxify more. And he's done some toxins testing, and I'd love to hear more from you on what kind of toxin testing might be, if it's even necessary. But he discovered that he had a lot of what's that one that's in a lot of our fruits and vegetables? If you're not eating
The
organic,
one,
it's like pesticides,
pesticide like glyphosate's very
like
common.
glyphosate. So he has a ridiculous amount of
Mhm.
glycophosphates, and so we were reading that it can that you can eliminate it pretty well through your skin. So
Yeah,
we're
that's the best
we're
way.
working with him on it,
Mhm.
and I gotta say, when I go into the sauna, and I don't go as often as him, he tries to go in, I think, a few times a week. But I do sweat in the saunas versus
Mhm.
exercising. So I do have hope there. I think I just need to probably do a little bit more to get my body trained.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
the sauna. So what's the difference between? Why do you mention infrared? Can you talk a little bit about infrared and what that does for the sauna, and then maybe how often should one go into a sauna?
So it doesn't really matter too much to me what type of sauna you use. I talk about infrared because that's typically it's going to go deeper in and get your whole body warmer than, let's say, just typical heat. So it's going to get it deep in there and really elevate your body temperature and help you get a really good sweat going. But you could just go in a typical dry sauna, and if you get a good sweat going, it doesn't matter how you sweat. Like I said, if you exercise and you really get a good sweat, if you get a good sweat going playing basketball, great, do it. But you just got to make sure that you get a good sweat going. But yeah, the infrared sauna, if you're having trouble sweating, that's going to probably be the easiest way to get the sweating going because it's going to increase the heat more readily than other heat sources.
How often should one go make sure and sweat, whether it's through exercise or through a sauna?
Tell my patients 3 times a week, 5
Okay.
times a week if you can. Let's say if it's really draining on you, do it less. If it's not, do it more. Everyone's a little bit different, and sweating can be really hard on some people. What I did notice about sweating is if you are sweating a lot, you gotta make sure that you are eating salt and getting enough salt in. Like me personally, if I'm doing a lot of sweat, if I sweat that day, I'm gonna drink a little like an 1/8 teaspoon of salt because I feel bogged down if I don't. And it depends on the person how much salt you're getting in your diet. I don't tend to get tons of salt. I do add salt to my food, but I don't eat any packaged stuff or anything like that, which is high in salt content.
Mhm.
So if you're eating a lot of packaged foods, you definitely are going to need to get extra salt. You're already loaded too much with salt. But
Right.
if you're not doing that, you're not getting it from other sources, it's probably a good idea to actually do a good quality salt when you are sweating because that's going to help you feel better and it's going to help you even sweat better too when you get a good amount of salt in, like a
What would be a
Himalayan
good
salt
quality
or a real
salt?
salt.
What would be a good quality salt?
Himalayan salt is a great salt. There's a brand called Real Salt. I just want you to get like a not just the salt, regular salt with a ton of iodine in it, because you get a lot of salt with iodine in it. You get too much iodine in your body, that can be a big problem too. So get a natural mineral salt. There's so many out there.
Okay, good to know. And I'm going to be putting this stuff in the description box for those people who are watching this on YouTube. All right, our last one, lungs. What do we do? How can we help our lungs work better?
So first, we got to make sure we're breathing. I hope you're doing that.
I'm right here.
So
I'm
really,
breathing.
an easy way to do that is make sure that you're getting deep breaths. Some people they breathe, but they're little shallow breathers, and that's not going to be able to get that carbon dioxide very well out of our bodies. Sometimes you could do deep breathing exercises just daily. You just do this for a minute or two, and that can kind of train you to get your body actually doing a deep breath. A deep breathing exercise you could do like you inhale with your nose for a minute seconds and then you hold it for 4 seconds and you blow out with your mouth for 4 seconds and then hold it for 4 seconds and continue that cycle. Do that for like a minute or two. That's going to really get your body trained to really breathe well. And also, that's going to really help with stress and other things, but it's going to help you get that breathing going and help detox through your lungs. There's no specific herb or nutrients that's going to specifically help with that, except if you have some lung disorders, and that's a whole different topic.
Yes, I imagine like if you do have, asthma or things like that, that could
Yeah,
probably prevent you from detoxifying your
for
lungs
sure.
pretty
Yep.
easily.
Mhm.
What about, there's people out there, my husband, one of them that struggles with mouth breathing. Does that affect your ability to detoxify your lungs properly if you're only breathing through your mouth?
I think it's fine just to breathe through your mouth as long as you're just getting the oxygen in. Their mouth sleeping because there's something going on with their nose. That's
Mm,
really there's some sinusitis or some congestion. That's causing them not to be able to breathe very well. Also, they might have some blockage. Maybe they have sleep apnea, things like that, that could be potentially leading to them being mouth sleepers. But if you're just a mouth sleeper and you're getting, that's fine. I don't have a
okay.
problem with that.
So when it comes to detoxifying, that's not the issue. It might cause other effects, but not detoxifying
Not
issues.
specifically detox, yeah.
Are there any supplements? I know you had mentioned it, and you might have already said this. Are there any supplements that you can have to encourage just detoxifying and getting like the carbon dioxide, getting those types of things out of your body?
NAC is one that will help encourage that effect. It's going to thin any type of mucus that is in there. It's going to help heal up the lungs, decrease inflammation in the lungs. You could use just pure glutathione. That can work really well too. Quercetin can be really great with that because that can decrease inflammation and histamine if you have any inflammation going on in their lungs. So that can help with that. But really, if your lungs are good, You just gotta make sure you breathe. Like people with anxieties, I notice they don't do deep breaths. They do a lot of shallow breaths. So that can be, or you're really stressed out, they tend to not do deep breaths. They do really shallow breaths. So just pay attention to that a little bit. Don't freak out about it. Be like, oh man, I do really short breaths. Just make sure that you are actually getting a pretty good breath when you do breathe. And kind of, if you're not, just do those breathing exercises. That's really the most important thing. Now, all those other things I'm talking about, that's really mostly for if you have some lung issues going on. I don't think if you don't have that going on, you don't have to take these supplements to get a good detox on. It's not really an area. The lungs are probably my least focused area if I'm going to be talking about specifically detoxification for people.
That makes sense. Okay, now you did mention earlier in this interview that you'd be talking a little bit about the need for a cellular detox. Can you
Yeah.
go into explaining what that is and why it's important and how we can do it?
And this is a huge one that I deal with specifically for my chronic illness patients. So first you have all these certain areas you might not be having a bowel movement enough, your liver might not be detoxing well enough, your kidneys, you're not drinking enough water, you're getting a lot of toxins in. Then that's going to affect how our cells work. That's going to affect specifically our mitochondria, which then is our main energy producer. And if our cells don't have good energy, means they don't work. Long term, that will lead to you not thinking well, focusing well, not being able to exercise very well, being tired all the time, have chronic pain and aches. These are all lead to that. So we need to work on a cellular detoxification program is a big piece. So we do that through CoQ10, acetyl-L-carnitine, glutathione, alpha lipoic acid. These are all things that get that cellular detox going. So we're able to eliminate all that gunk that has been lodged into there,
So you said
inside our cells.
CoQ10, glutathione, alpha polonic acid, and
Alpha
then
lipoic, yeah. And then
polonic acid.
carnitine. Acetyl-L-carnitine is the best absorbable oral form.
Wonderful. Okay, so these help clear toxins that are stuck in our cells.
Yep.
Okay, and then it helps us eliminate them. Now, you were mentioning about mitochondria,
Yeah.
and I know just through our own health journey with my husband that we're really discovering the metabolic side of the cause of cancer. If hypothetically, if you don't detoxify your cells, your chronic illness and so forth, and it's starting to affect your mitochondria in your cells, could that potentially lead to cancer?
Yes, it can. That's one idea and one theoretical ideology of why cancer forms is the mitochondria stops working in your cells, and over time that leads to more mutations that happen in your cells, which is cancer. Cancer is when your cells start replicating and mutating and not working appropriately and growing too fast. And that could be related to the mitochondria. I don't think it's the only area, but it's definitely a big piece of why people are getting cancer for sure.
Interesting. So, how often should somebody with chronic illness do a cellular detox? How often should they be taking these supplements?
Depends on the health of the individual, and if they are really eating a clean diet, I usually don't say you have to absolutely take a supplement, but I do. I take supplements daily. I do a rotation, like I do NAC for like a month, I do glutathione for a month. I take turmeric. Again, turmeric does everything for our body. That's a great cellular detox too. We didn't specifically say that, but that's a good mitochondrial healer, and that's really great. So I take that daily to help with that. Also, we want to make sure that we get enough vitamins and minerals. We didn't talk about these, but magnesium helps with the cellular detox, and B vitamins help with our cellular detox. So, getting a good multivitamin daily, making sure you get enough magnesium. I like to take turmeric daily. These are things to help with that cellular detox. And then, if we have to be more aggressive about it, I would be going with the alpha lipoic acid, the glutathione, and the carnitine, which I do rotate in my diet because I just want to be the best I can be. And I periodically take carnitine for a couple months, then I take a little bit of a break. If you're good and healthy, you really don't have to take it all the time. You don't have to spend your money on that. And it probably is just a little too much for the body. So periodically rotating these things, rotating glutathione or NAC or carnitine, alpha lipoic acid, just rotating these things throughout your diet is really good for just the general healthy person. If you're chronically ill, completely different story, and really you need to go into a doctor that knows what they're doing to give you an appropriate prescription for that.
One of the things that we've been noticing is it seems like more and more people are discovering that they have MUF4 mutations. And I know it does a lot. One of the things that we've learned is that the MUF4 gene, which we all need, that it helps us with what's called methylation, which is a part of our detoxification process. And so there are a lot of people out there who have this mutation, which makes it more difficult. And what we've learned, what you're saying here, is that B vitamins, methylated B vitamins, really help that person who might be struggling. And I gotta say, I have a couple of them, not as bad as my husband. He's got homozygous, homozygous MUF4 mutations, but I feel better. I feel better when I take B vitamins. Even if I eat meat and some of the natural sources for it, if I am feeling a little run down, after noon, 2 o'clock kind of hits and I'm feeling a little slump, take a couple of B vitamins and I feel better as well. I'm not sure if that has to do with my body detoxifying, but I definitely can't praise B vitamins enough on how it makes me feel. All right. So for those people who are listening and they want to possibly get maybe tested for certain toxins, maybe want to talk to you a little bit further about some long-term health issues that they've been having that could be due to toxins or any of that, how can they get a hold of you?
So visit our website, integrativemedica.com, find our phone number on there and give our receptionist a call, and you can set up an appointment with me or some of our other fantastic doctors that we have. And we really can dive into how to do detoxification appropriately. What is the right detoxification protocol for you? And what is the dosage of all these things that we talked about?
Wonderful. And, for those of you who've listened and enjoyed this episode, we have so much more for you. Check out the next video. Take a look at some of the other videos that we have here on the YouTube channel, or if you're listening on the podcast, scroll down to some of the other episodes. You're going to see that we talk a lot about various supplements for different types of ailments, dietary changes that you can make, lifestyle changes that you can make, all to improve your health without surgeries, without drugs, all of that. So watch, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, Dr. Jake, thank you for your time today. And if you enjoyed the show, then do us a favor and leave a review. It helps more people to find the show, which could save their life. And remember, this is a podcast and should not replace personalized attention from a medical professional like Dr. Jake. If you or someone you know has been diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, cancer of any stage, or a life-changing illness, visit our website today and schedule a virtual appointment with one of our doctors who can lead you to a treatment plan in your area. That's integrativemedica.com. Integrative, MEDICA.com.
Thank you for listening to the Integrative Medica podcast with Dr. Jake. To hear past episodes and get alerts for the future, subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform and be sure to follow us on YouTube as well. Just search for Integrative Medica with Dr. Jake.